Hi, I'm Sarah Henley and we are back in the Slimming World kitchen. We've got a fantastic recipe for you. I know people love something sweet at the end of the meal and this is it. It's our pancake stack with fresh fruits and sauce. You can obviously make this for breakfast, or if you want something indulgent at the end of your meal, this is the one to go to. So the easy way to make pancakes is it starts with eggs, and if you're not sure or comfortable with how you separate eggs, I'll show you a little trick. So you use the side of the bowl to crack the egg. You pull it away into two halves, the shell, and then what you do is you go between shell to shell with the yolk, and naturally the egg white just comes away. I'll just show you that again. Crack it open, and again just go side to side. Now, if a bit of the egg yolk goes into the egg white, don't panic, just make sure you limit how much yolk goes in. You can always use the side of the shell to hook it out because it sort of has this sort of magnetic effect. I don't know why, but it will draw up the egg yolk. If you try to go in there with a teaspoon, you'll be there forever. So the egg whites we're just going to put to one side for a moment. So we've got 2 egg yolks in there. Then we're going to put a level teaspoon of sweetener in there. If you don't want it, don't add it. And then 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This creates the lift in the actual pancake itself. Then we've got 230 ml of unsweetened almond drink. Put that in. I'm going to give it a little sort of whisk at this stage to get that combined. So you give that a whisk, then add in 50 grams of oats. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. But if you don't have any, why don't you add half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon or mixed spice to ring the changes? That would be delicious. And then we just give that a stir. Now you put this to one side for about 20 minutes at room temperature, and the baking powder will do its little magic and we'll come back to it. So after 20 minutes, your oats are going to have softened up in the liquid. And then we just finish it off with 50 grams of self-raising flour. Give that a little sieve before you add it in. I've done it already ahead of time. And give that a stir and make sure there's no kind of real big lumps in there. And then that is the base that we're going to fold the egg whites into. So I've taken those 2 egg whites that I had earlier and I've just whisked those up. And a little tip when you're folding egg whites in, if you just add sort of about a third like that, you don't need to fold it in at this stage, just stir that in, that will loosen the mixture off. And then it will be easier to get the rest of the egg whites in, like so. And then the rest of it, just add in, and we'll fold it in. It's good to use a metal spoon to fold it in. And just get all of that out with a spatula, like so. And then this is where you want to keep the air in it, so you just keep rotating the bowl around and doing it up and over technique. Like so, because you've whisked all that air in. It would be a tragedy now if you beat it all out by vigorously stirring it. So the mixture will look something like that, lovely and pillowy. Don't go and bang the spoon on the side, you'll beat all the air out again. Then this is a 20 centimetre non-stick frying pan. All I'm going to do is take a bit of low-calorie cooking spray and spray it all over. And let's just increase the heat to sort of medium. And you can sort of just put your hand about 2 or 3 inches above. You can feel the heat when it's about ready. And I'm just going to use a small ladle to ladle it in. This will make 12. So this ladle I think is about the perfect amount for each one. And I'm just going to put those in the pan and just use the base of it to just make it into a nice round. I think I'll fit 3 into this one. And they don't spread too much because they've got the egg white in there to give it a bit of stability. And then this is where it's sort of a patient game a little bit. You're waiting for bubbles to come up through from the bottom to the top. So when you can start to see a bit of steam and there's little bubbles that are starting to appear on the top, have a little look and just see if they're nice and brown underneath, and then you just give them a little flip. Can you hear that? It's a great sound. It makes this sort of pillowy, steamy... Oh, it's a beautiful thing. Are they looking great? I'm very excited about these. The good thing about these is you can make a batch of these and put them in the freezer. What I tend to do is stack them up with a little bit of baking parchment between them. let them cool, and then you can wrap them in foil and put them straight into the freezer. And then you can take them out one by one because you've got the dividers of the baking parchment. And if you were to reheat them, you can either reheat them in a frying pan for maybe a minute each side, or pop them in the microwave for probably about 10 to 25 seconds, depending on your wattage of your microwave. And then you have instant pancakes. Now just leave them to cook for another sort of minute on that side, so it's nice and brown like that, and then I'll show you what we're going to do to top it. So there's 12 pancakes that I've made from that mixture, and like I said, if you just interleave them with the baking parchment, and then you can easily freeze those or have them in the fridge and then help yourself the next day. This is crying out for a yummy fruity sauce. So what do? You take 50 grams of raspberries and 50 grams of blueberries, but if you haven't got those, maybe strawberries or blackberries. Put them into a little food processor. If you haven't got one, you could mash them up with a potato masher and then push it through a sieve. This is a level tablespoon of sweetener that goes in as well. But you could just taste your fruit and see how sweet it is naturally. Obviously in the summer it would be sweeter than it would in the winter. So then you just put the lid on, whiz that up, like so. And then we're just going to sieve it to take all the pips out, because nobody wants that stuck between their teeth. And take the blade out, put it into a sieve, and then you just use either the back of a spoon or a spatula. Just make sure you get everything out of there. And I'm putting it directly into a jug so it's easier to pour. And then you can see this beautiful, bright red, fresh, fruity sauce. And if you wanted to, you could make a sort of more exotic one using mango and passion fruit, whizzing those up, and then the same process, just sieve it. And then I would top the pancakes with mango, papaya, bit of passion fruit, maybe kiwi as well as an alternative. So don't be restricted with the fruits that you're using. So you end up with that pulp, you'll just have to sort of throw that away. And then it's just assembly. And like I said, perfect for breakfast or dinner. So I'm going to make a stack of 5 for the family to help themselves from. Probably have a couple each. So just put them on top of each other. Like so. And then, like I said, a mixture of berries. So I'm going to use blueberries. I've got some red currants here as well, which are gorgeous. There we go. And then just pour the sauce over. There we go. So there you go, you can serve it up to the family, and then just finish it off with a little extra sweetener if you wanted to. There we go. How pretty is that? And enjoy that.